Hi, welcome back to the Elf Chef's Kitchen. I'm Frank Trinkle, the Elf Chef, and you're in my kitchen where we're going to do something special today. We're going to make three products at the same time. It's going to be lobster butter, lobster stock, and we're going to make some compound butter, some compound garlic butter that you can use for French bread or any other kind of thing that you're going to do. If this is your first time here, well, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber or somebody that's seen our videos before, welcome back. And we'll get started right after this. All right, so let's go over and see where we're at right now. I'm going to be showing you something that we've already kind of pre-prepared, and then I'm going to pause, and then we'll go on to it later. So let me go to our other camera here, and we'll talk a little bit about this. This is how we make lobster stock. With lobster stock, what we're going to do is take all of these extra shells and lobster shells that we had from dinner, or even maybe if you ate out at like Red Lobster or something, where you could potentially ask them to have the shells or whatnot, and also shrimp shells or tails that you've pulled off. To get these ready for what we're going to do, I've put them in the oven at 375 for about, a little about 10, 15 minutes just to harden them up, get some of the impurities off of them. And what we're going to do now is we're going to transfer them to a sandwich, a large sandwich bag, and we're going to basically going to try to get a lot of this off together so that we can get the maximum kind of area that is going to be used by these shells. Now, over here, I'm actually making some clarified butter. If you don't know about clarified butter, please look at my last video on YouTube or on Facebook. I did have a session on how to make that. What we're going to do with this is we're going to make the perfect lobster butter that is lobster infused, and we're going to make the lobster stock. We're going to make a lobster broth which can be used for a number of things, and I'll talk about those when we start cooking it. But one of the things is obviously that there's two ways to make it. One is as a broth, the other is a stock, which would be good for use in things like lobster bisque or shrimp bisque or crab bisque. There's no such thing as tomato bisque, in case you're wondering. It's strictly shellfish. All right, so I'm going to get ready to punch these things up. We're going to get it loaded up and get ready to work, and I will be back with you momentarily. What we did is we basically took our lobster, cut it into smaller pieces so that it would kind of spread, give a little bit more area for the water to work with, and then added all the shrimp tails as well. The other thing that we can do, because we don't really want our stock to be really super clear, white. So if we add some onion skins that we just peel off of a fresh onion, you know how that comes off when you first do that. You just get them in there like that, and then just take a spoon and kind of just. This is about the only time that during this entire process that you're going to actually stir this stock. You basically don't want to. If you start stirring it up after it gets heated up and simmering, it will get cloudy, and that's not what we want. What we want it to do is really get the flavor out of the lobster and the shrimp, and then after it has simmered for a few hours, then we're going to strain it through a cheesecloth so that we just get the finest little bit. Now, as you can see, our clarified butter is starting to get there. It's still bubbling, which is what we're waiting for. And the foam on the top, we're getting removed. We remove it off of there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. So what we do is we just take a very fine strainer and we just remove this foam that's on the top. Basically, what that is butter proteins. And as I said, we go into a lot more detail on what this butter is for and how to use it and how to make it in a previous video. So I'm just waiting for that to do. And we're just putting this right now, the lobster stock is on simmer. And that's where it's going to stay now until we're going to take it just to where it's just barely bubbling off the bottom. We do not want it to boil. So we're just going to leave that, and I'll wait for my clarified butter to finish, and then I will be back with you as soon as that's done. So hang loose. Now, while we're working on that, I got a little trick here that I'm not sure if you all know how to do this. You know how of a pain it is to peel garlic, and you're constantly trying to get the skin off. It's really, really a pain. Well, there's a trick that I learned from a chef a long time ago that's pretty cool. You take one of these little, containers like this or glass or whatever. You fill it with these garlic cloves, and then make sure you cut it tight, and just start shaking. It's fantastic. Watch what happens. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see. It has completely stripped the garlic cloves of all of their skin, which is fantastic. And we're going to be sauteing these after I basically dice them. Well, I'm going to use a squeezer, but and then we're going to use that in the butter that we're going to be making later. All right, I'll pause until we get the rest of this getting ready to go. All right, well, I'm just going to do a little refresher here. If you're looking at this pan right here, this is the clarified butter that we're working on. Right now, as I told you earlier, the proteins rise to the top, the milk solids start falling to the bottom, and very soon after it basically stops bubbling, it's still bubbling a bit, which means that we still have water in the butter to some degree. You have to be really careful with this foam so you don't start stirring things up underneath. And by the way, this foam, as I said in my earlier video, is so fantastic for putting on popcorn or something else that you want that super buttery taste for. But it's not really good for what else we want to do. So it's starting to get clear. We're getting really close. We're going to strain that so that all we get is the milk fat, and we don't have any of the milk solids or the proteins, and that's going to be perfect butter. It also has a higher smoke point if you use it for sautéing or for other kinds of cooking than regular butter by a long shot, up to about 480 degrees. So it's really effective, and it's easy to make, and you can use it for so much. It's just worth every the time that it takes to make it. And if you cook it even longer than just for the clarified butter, when the milk solids start getting brown, what you've created is actually ghee, Ghee, and ghee is also a very, very highly sought after fat for various types of cooking and sautéing. All right, I'm going to still just let this go for a bit, and as soon as I get that strained out and get it ready for the lobster, the other lobster, we'll be right back. Our clarified butter is now done, and it looks great. And I've basically carved up, or cut up the other lobster tails that we're going to use to make this lobster butter. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that. So let's go back to the stove. All right, so I've basically got this pan ready. Now, you remember this is clarified butter. I don't know, can you see that? Look how clear that is. It's so clear. It doesn't look anything like butter as you get in the store or in a stick. And all we're going to do is we're going to add all of this into this pot. And now we're going to cook this for a while. This one we can actually stir because we want to basically get all of the good material in there mixed up so that you get the strongest flavor to this butter. And we're going to strain this through a cheesecloth later, so it's any of these little pieces and stuff that you see in here are all going to disappear. They'll all be gone. In the meantime, while we're getting ready to do that, I'm going to start making our compound butter. What is compound butter? Compound butter is butter that has been mixed with various things, herbs, spices, garlic, whatever, for a number of reasons. And uh, straight garlic butter is fantastic for things like when you're doing a French bread from scratch and wanting that, or use just on regular toast or whatever, just to give it a really nice garlicky flavor. And you can use it when you're sautéing, when you're cooking, when you're doing other things. So what we're going to do next is basically I'm going to put these two over here. Let me get this set up right. I don't want that on too hot, and I want well, we can do it here, I guess. Can you see that here? I'm not sure. Uh, well, I'll put it over here where we can see it. I'll just put this over here for now, and we'll put that on the small burner at about 3 so it can simmer. All right, so over here what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit higher heat. Make sure I have the right one. All right. And we're going to use just a little bit of oil, and we're going to saute some minced garlic. And then we're going to basically, you can make this butter either way, either with clarified butter or with regular butter. Today we're just going to use regular butter. I'm going to use half of this pound to make it. And then we're going to put it, once it's done, we're going to pour it into basically a a butter ice cube maker, if you will, and we'll freeze it, and then we can use it anytime, or we could just put it in the fridge, or perhaps even in something like this where we have it available in the refrigerator, we can put it out on the counter for a little bit and it'll soften up and we can use it on toast. We can use it in all sorts of ways. And it's all going to, oh, and of course, it's going to be the best lobster dip that you've ever had in your life. And while I'm waiting for the pan to warm up a little bit, I use avocado oil generally because avocado oil has a very high heat point and it makes it really good to use. And all we're going to do there, let me just make sure that we're actually getting to a simmer here. We are. All right, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to take my Handy Dandy OXO garlic press, which is the best anywhere. I will put a link to this on below in the description areas for Amazon, because this is absolutely, I've tried so many garlic presses, there is none better than this. Plus it is so easy to clean because of these knobs, these little nibs at the top. You turn it around and it pushes everything back through there, and it's so easy to clean. It's well worth it. All right, so I need something to scrape with. Hang on just a second. Just one of my knives. Use the back of the knife, and we'll do these two at a time, I think. Let me see if we're ready here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, so put a couple in here, and then we just squeeze. Not too hot. Let's turn that down just a little bit. In fact, let's just go to the small burner. All right. And then we will go to number 2. And finally, so I'm using about, well, it would average out to about 4 large cloves of garlic. And we don't want it to get, I just want to get it them crispy. That's it. We're done with that. I'll put that over here. And I'm just going to do this a little bit. Just get them a little toasted, that's all. Don't really want them turning heavy brown. All right, let's do that over there. I think that's good. All right. Now, I've softened up this butter for some time. Let's put this back over here now. Want that on. Small burner, that looks good. I think that's right. All right, we'll turn that off. All right, so I'm going to cut this this piece of butter in half, and I'm going to put it in a regular pan or a bowl, mixing bowl. And once we have that done, then all we do is just mix in the garlic and mix it up, and we're going to do that right now. This is so simple. I don't know why people go to the store and buy garlic butter when it's so easy to make. And there it is, in there. And that one will go back in the refrigerator a little bit. And then all I really need is a fork, a good fork. And the fork is going to allow us to just mix it all in. So there's a fork. I've got my butter here. All I'm going to do is basically put the garlic in here. This is not a whole lot of garlic actually for this butter. You could do a lot more if you really wanted a really heavy garlic flavor. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start mashing this up until it gets creamy, and it's going to all mix in well. And I can actually put this, if I wanted to, on a pot for a little bit and melt it down, but I don't like doing that. So, and this won't go in a microwave because it's a metal, but it just basically mixing it in, folding, mixing, folding, mixing. And this will solidify in the refrigerator or the freezer. You can do it either way. And even though it is butter, this is not clarified. It doesn't matter. You can put it in like what I'm going to do. I was going to put it in the ice cube things, but I think I'm going to put this in that one container. And as I said, you can pull it out of the refrigerator. It might be solidified, but it'll warm up pretty quickly and soften up, as this one did. And it's ready for use. Basically, you get your butter pat, and put it on toast, bagels. You could do it. There's so many things you could do with it, really. I use it for a lot of stuff. So that's all there is. We now have garlic butter. It's that simple. So what I'm going to do is come over here and I'm going to take my storage container, put it in there, press it down so it looks nice. Yes, taste test is complete. And there you have it. This is garlic butter, and it'll like I said, it'll soften up really nicely. If you want to, you can really kind of smooth it out so it looks pretty, like it would be in a store. But I'm not all that big on that. I use this for cooking and for other things, so it's not really that important to me to have it looking pretty. And this is always available to me. All right, so that's done, and that's going in the fridge. Maybe. If I can barely reach it with my microphone on. There it is. Okay. All right. So what we're waiting for now, if you look over here, let's switch places here. Remember, I don't want to stir that up. I don't want to get it cloudy. We're back over here. Everything's cooking up nicely in here. This does not have to take that long. Basically, what we're trying to do is get the majority of the essence out of these lobster shells. That's it. And once we've got it pretty well done, we'll be ready to uh, sift it. Not sift it, but strain it. Strain it. We'll strain it through, as I said, a strainer and cheesecloth. And um, I will do it the same way that I did my butter before. I'll use the same container. I can't do it while I'm filming, but another tip that I might give you is that when you're cooking, you're obviously piling things up in the sink if you're using pots and pans and everything else, but generally always you have a little bit of time in between certain tasks. And I found, as many others have, is that if you continuously clean as you go, so you use a pot, you use a saute pan, you got to wait a few minutes for something else to take place or something's cooking, go over to your sink, clean it out, wash it out, put it on a dry rack, come back, do something else. Anytime you use silverware or anything else, if you do it in the dishwasher, wipe them off, put them in the dishwasher. It makes things so much easier in the long run that when you're done, you don't have this massive cleanup to do, which is always a real pain if you just pile things high. All right, I'm going to let this go a little bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and then I'll be back, hopefully with the final product. Cheers. Our lobster butter is done, and it looks fantastic. It's very clear because we used clarified butter, and it looks fantastic. So, as I said, we can use this for a lot of different things. The way that I'm going to store it this time, I'm going to go back to the stove where I have something set up. I have these silicone butter molds, and I'm just going to use those molds because they will solidify, and it'll give me separate blocks of lobster butter, and that's perfect. By the way, if you have 1 cup of regular butter, it will bring you about 3/4 cup of clarified butter. So there, can you see that? Basically, this is going to go into the fridge or freezer. It will harden up. I have these tops to keep it nice and safe. Those will go in, and I will have those for another day. All right, let's go back to talking about our stock for a minute, or our broth. So we haven't messed with this at all. It's basically still just sitting. If you can see it, I'm not sure you can see it, but if you can see it, you'll notice that it's turned a lot darker color than when we started. If you can see the water at all, I don't want to do this too much, but those onion skins and some of the stuff from within the lobster itself has started to darken this up. Now I'm going to let this go for about another 2 hours, but let me talk to you about what you can do with lobster stock. I'm going to give you a secret that will blow your guests and people who eat over at your house away, and that is when you cook or boil uncooked shrimp. If you get your shrimp ready to go, you've got them, deveined, or you haven't shelled them yet. or you can. I mean, if you want to shell them first, that's fine. But if you're going to cook them in their shells, it doesn't matter. Remember, always save the shells and the tails and afterwards. But if you get your boiling water ready, not a whole lot, and you use maybe a cup or two of the lobster stock that you have on hand and put that in the boiling water, it will make your shrimp taste unbelievably good. They'll have a lobster essence in the shrimp. It's fantastic. Please try that out sometime. You will love it. The other things you can do with that, again, is for making, flavoring various types of soups. You can obviously make lobster gravies, lobster flavored gravies. You can make various seafood soups. You can add it to various seafood meals. You can actually poach um, fish in it, which will it will infuse some lobster and shrimp flavor, which makes it very wholesome, really, really good. But these are all things that you can do, and these are methods, and you don't need to read recipes. You don't need to, you know, keep the measurements to exactly one level teaspoon or whatever on things to do it. Cook to your taste. Cook to what tastes good to you, what looks good, and and then experiment. That's what it's all about. And I'll be going more into this. I'm going to be doing some stuff with the stuff we made today. In the next week or two, I'll be making more videos. There's a number of things that are coming up that I'm planning on making videos for now that COVID is kind of reducing, and I have the opportunity to actually get out and get food that I want without getting near people and everything else. So the cooking videos will be kicked up again. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a little end thing here for you. I'd love it if you would like and subscribe. If you'd like to hit that little bell button down there, you can also get notified whenever I put up a new video. If you're on Facebook on Elf Chef Cooks Grills or Cooks Grills and Reviews, I also put my videos there, and now I'm also on Instagram, and you can reach me on Instagram's page now that I can do it on a Mac and not just on a phone. I am at elfcooks.com/Instagram. elfcooks.com/Instagram, and I hope you come and follow me. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll do my best to make your life better and tastier as we move along. But until next time, it's adios, and for all of you, bon appetit. Cheers.